Peace and blessings, family. Thank you for joining me. I am Anthony Muhammad. This is a new episode of BrainFoodTV. We're going to be touching on Black Wall Street, which is a part of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm just going to be talking about what they achieved, how they achieved it, and what prevented them from rebuilding Black Wall Street in the first place. What I'm going to do is get into some intro facts just to give you a synopsis, a quick review about what we'll be talking about. As I've stated before, Black Wall Street is a nickname for the Greenwood district. In the 1920s, it had over 600 successful businesses, consisted of schools, proud black culture, 21 churches, 21 restaurants, 30 grocery stores, 2 movie theaters, 1 hospital, 1 bank, 1 post office, 6 airplanes in the bus system where you obviously can sit wherever you wanted to on the bus. They found, a way to build something for themselves fresh off the plantation, building up the skills from being a slave. Now they knew what they should do for themselves. And eventually what they had built was taken by violence and force. And we're going to get into that right now. So I'm going to get the first part of this is going to be talking about how they started this up. And how this came about was the 5 civilized Native American tribes unified together. This consisted of the Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Muskogee, and the Seminole tribes. They brought over 7,000 slaves, many who were already free, to help join them build something for themselves, freedom, justice, and equality to provide for themselves. Eventually, they went on to sign a treaty for African tribal citizenship after the Civil War, allowing slaves the same rights as natives. So they got, certain lands, stipends, and etc. They started with around 18,182 people. Some of were doctors, lawyers, educators, and even millionaires. Whites came into the area and pushed the population into the Greenwood district we now know from the past as Black Wall Street. Separation is sort of what helped them build their economy. And I'm going to explain that. What that is knowing that nobody during that time is going to provide anything for you. You just came out of slavery. You're looking at each other like, how are we going to create an opportunity for ourselves? And the separation is what helped them build that, because they couldn't go to white establishments. They weren't allowed in those places. So all they can do is shop with themselves, build things for themselves in their community. And, they lived in peace and harmony and created opportunities to where people didn't have to commit crimes or commit violence and heinous acts toward each other. Soldiers from the Cold War who felt disrespected in American society were very attracted to the Tulsa environment. So, a lot of them migrated to that and, like I said, built the skills up through their experiences to be able to help build a new nation for themselves. Now we're going to get into the maintenance of this. So that's how they started up, looking for people with similar struggles, combining your skills to do what you need to, and combining your resources to build what is necessary. So maintaining this, by 1920, the population had grown to over 100,000 people, caused by the finding of oil in 1905, which created a lot of opportunities that attracted a lot of people, evidently. A team consistently went abroad to promote and market new opportunities in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So they were always traveling to try to see new prospects and bring new minds into the picture so that they can grow. To continue gathering wealth for the Black-owned bank, some of the people in Tulsa had to go to South Tulsa and work for whites, which is fine with them, because what they did was take that income and spend it in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the Black Wall Street district. And they stimulated their own economy and their own banks. The dollar actually took a whole year to leave their community, which means it circulated between the businesses and Black Wall Street for 365 days before it got pushed out into somebody else's community. During the time, they still had to deal with jealousy, envy, racism, the KKK, politics, and the corrupt police system. So that's some things that they dealt with when it comes to maintaining a independent, self-owned territory. So now I'd like to get into this part of our topic called the massacre. These are just some points that led up to what we call the massacre of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And here are the facts behind it. Whites started to move to Tulsa to take advantage of the oil and resources. During the time, 19-year-old Dick Rowland was arrested on attempted assault on an elevator attendant. Her name was Sarah Page. Rollin tripped while entering the elevator, grabbing Sarah as a way to prevent his fall. As an excuse, the whites of that part used that to try to hang the man and persecute him as doing something wrong. A small group of these white men entered the Greenwood district, and what they did was approach people who knew or were said to have known Rollin, and they were asking for them to give him up so that they can prosecute him for a hanging. These brothers disagreed and ended up in a gunfight, and they ended up killing 4 of the white men. The white population of Tulsa gathered in effort to plan an attack on Black Wall Street, and that's exactly what they did. The KKK called for surrounding members in the area to help with the massacre. They returned with riot gear, guns, Mazel tovs, explosives, and etc., with intentions of a violent attack. Outnumbering the blacks in the area, 35 square blocks of the district was burnt down to nothing. Thousands were killed, including women and children, and 70 men were arrested. They were even assisted by an airstrike by the United States government, who after the massacre was unwilling to insure the $36 million in property damage done. And Jim Crow laws allowed these people to get away with this heinous act. In 5 years, some of what was lost was rebuilt, but it remained a struggle due to the desegregation and the lack of resources. And let me explain when I say that. Desegregation means that, they desegregated us and allowed us into their businesses after they had put the fear of building something for ourselves and giving us the idea that they can take it if we build it. So that created a mindset that allowed us to be susceptible to going into white businesses and spending our money and not being motivated to do anything for ourselves and for our communities because we feel that it will be taken away either violently or by law. But that's not, not everything about the situation was bad. And we know that, given the statistics about what they build, these are some of the people who have major contributions to this city. John B. Stratford is somebody who built one of the finest hotels in Greenwood district. Then we have Dr. Simon Berry, who was a medical doctor and also operated a bus company, which made $500 today. $500 today from back then is now worth $16,000 to $17,000 per day. He eventually sold it to the city to be used for transportation and hiring black drivers for its purpose. Dr. Andrew Jackson was a premier medical doctor. Regardless of race between black and white, he was at the top of what he did. John and Lola Williams, they owned auto repair shops servicing whites and blacks. They had shops, housing, and office rentals. They founded an 800-seat movie theater that was famous at the time and was called the William Dreamland. The next person is Andrew A. Smith, who owned and operated the Tulsa Star newspaper. And he was a strong advocate for going to the government and demanding anti-lynching laws for his people. Ellis Walker Woods was somebody who walked from Memphis to Tulsa, freelancing himself for farm work to be able to pay his way to get to Tulsa and eventually making enough to put him through school once he got there. He became a teacher and eventually became the principal of that school, naming the school after Booker T. Washington. He is now known for being a master motivator of the student.